The all-but-confirmed ninth installment in Capcom's Resident Evil franchise is rumored to have the biggest budget the series has ever seen. The latest Resident Evil title to be released, the remake of 2005's Resident Evil 4, came out earlier this year to gamers' acclaim and is regarded as perhaps one of the greatest games ever with its vastly updated visuals and calculated action gameplay. Suffice it to say, gamers are currently in the midst of a Resident Evil renaissance. The release of Resident Evil 7 Biohazard in 2017 injected some juice into a franchise that had long passed its heyday. Biohazard introduced a sharper modern horror tone and immersive first-person gameplay for the first time in the mainline franchise's long history. 2 years later, Capcom kicked off its string of incredibly well-received Resident Evil remakes with Resident Evil 2, and followed that up a year later with its smaller, more action-focused Resident Evil 3 remake. 2021 saw the release of Biohazard's much-anticipated sequel, Resident Evil Village, which picked up Ethan Winter's story as he ventures into a harrowing Romanian village in search for his taken daughter. With Resident Evil 4 Remake and its Separate Ways DLC having just recently satisfied longtime fans, I am beginning to look ahead towards what's next for the survival horror franchise, which will most likely be the continuation of the mainline series with Resident Evil 9. As reported by a Resident Evil insider named Dusk Golem, they have learned that this rumored ninth installment will be the biggest Resident Evil game yet, and thus will have the biggest budget of any game in the series so far. Dusk Golem goes on to claim that Resident Evil 9 will wrap up the storyline that began with Ethan Winters back in Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. Surprisingly, according to Dusk Golem, Resident Evil 9 has been in development since 2018, though most likely in an early pre-production capacity, as Capcom has had its hands full with Resident Evil Village and an assortment of remakes since. Perhaps most exciting is Dusk Golem's mention of the game's potential setting. They claim that Resident Evil 9 will take place in a sort of western ghost town. Whether this means players will be taken back to the old American frontier or a modern-day western town is unknown, but the prospect of a Resident Evil western would surely excite many fans. Additionally, since Resident Evil Village's Shadows of Rose DLC is playable in third person, it would be a safe bet to expect Resident Evil 9 to offer players the option of both first and third person gameplay. Dusk Golem has expressed that Resident Evil 9 won't be ready until 2025, which would create a pretty standard 4-year gap since Village in 2021. If this is indeed true, it wouldn't be unwise to expect Capcom to officially unveil Resident Evil 9 sometime next year, as part of a PlayStation showcase. Between these timeframe a Resident Evil Revelations 3 outrage could be possible for a release. Many Silent Hill fans are looking forward to the Silent Hill 2 remake, but it seems more entries in the iconic survival horror franchise could be getting the remake treatment as well. A Silent Hill 2 remake has been one of the most hotly requested projects since Capcom's runaway success reviving its classic Resident Evil games, and now it's finally coming to fruition. Following years of rumors, leaks, and speculation, Konami officially announced the Silent Hill 2 remake, with the game being developed by Bloober Team, the studio behind modern horror games like Layers of Fear and The Medium. The Medium took heavy inspiration from Silent Hill, making Bloober Team a natural fit to remake Silent Hill 2. The Silent Hill 2 remake is still without a release date, but fans will hopefully hear more information on that front sooner rather than later. In the meantime, there's reason to believe that even more Silent Hill remakes could be in the pipeline. Konami's latest earnings report included mention of Silent Hill remakes. In its report, Konami discussed the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake and then added that it is also working on remakes and completely new entries in the Silent Hill series. It's possible that the plural, remakes, was an error by Konami, but it could also be an indication that the company is going to remake more Silent Hill games than just Silent Hill 2. It's safe to say that many horror game fans would be happy to see the other Silent Hill games revived on modern consoles. The original Silent Hill and Silent Hill 3 are two games that are beloved by horror fans, even if they aren't quite as popular as Silent Hill 2. Silent Hill 4 has also become somewhat of a cult classic. It didn't light the world on fire during its initial release, but many point to it as one of the scarier games in the series, and have praised its unique premise and deviations from the typical Silent Hill formula. While it remains to be seen if Konami actually meant to tease more Silent Hill remakes or not, the good news is that there is plenty of Silent Hill content on the way. The divisive Silent Hill Ascension is currently available, while Silent Hill F, the Silent Hill 2 remake, and Silent Hill Townfall are all on the way. It has been discovered that, amid pre-orders going live for Silent Hill 2, one website has listed a release date for the highly anticipated horror revisit that no other platform has featured as of yet. For many, it seems too specific to be a placeholder. On PC Game Benchmark, a release date of March 21, 2024 has been given, along with other information related to the specification of the Silent Hill 2 remake. It was around 7 months ago that claims surfaced that the game was almost ready to go, and given that pre-orders have now gone live, that date isn't too far-fetched, but it should still be taken with a pinch of salt. For many, Silent Hill 2 is considered one of the best horror games of all time. It was an impactful title when it was released back in 2001, and it went on to influence other horror games in the years to come. Bloober Team's upcoming remake of Silent Hill May 2nd include a playable origin story for the game's notorious antagonist Pyramid Head. After years of fans clamoring for a remake or at least a new entry in the survival horror franchise, during the Silent Hill Transmission Showcase in October 2022, Konami finally announced that Silent Hill 2 would be getting a remake. Since then, very little has been shared about the progress of the game's development, other than a teaser trailer that revealed the controversial new look for protagonist James Sunderland. But the lack of official info hasn't stopped fans from trying to glean information from Steam updates, ratings websites, and online store descriptions, sparking all kinds of rumors about the Silent Hill 2 remake. The latest tidbit that has fans of the franchise excited is Best Buy Canada's product description for the Silent Hill 2 remake, which states that the game will include a playable origin story for fan-favorite character, Pyramid Head. Designed by artist Masahiro Ito, the creepy and enigmatic bad guy with a triangle for a hat has sparked theories and speculation among fans since the game first launched in 2001. So the idea that perhaps details about his purpose will be revealed in the remake has people looking forward to the pending release even more. It's generally accepted that Pyramid Head is a manifestation of James Sunderland's troubled psyche and the conflicting feelings the protagonist has about himself, his wife's terminal illness, and the way it has altered their relationship. Pyramid Head is relentless and violent towards anybody and anything, even other monsters he encounters in the town of Silent Hill, and James has multiple run-ins with the terrifying creature throughout the game. It's now been over a year since the remake of Silent Hill 2 was first revealed, and there is yet to be a release date announcement. There have, however, been multiple fan guesses made about the game, based on hints from voice actors and updates to the game's Steam page. The latest rumored release date is March 2024, but considering that's about the fourth leaked release date for the game thus far, it's best to take every bit of similar news with a pinch of salt. Fans will just have to be patient and wait for Konami to give an official update. It remains to be seen if these projects live up to the high bar set by previous games in the franchise. But many will be happy that they are getting any new Silent Hill games at all, especially since the series was dormant for so many years. According to recent reports and rumors, Assassin's Creed Red will be eschewing the franchise's typical modern-day approach and instead taking players into the future, sometime between the years 2090 and 2099. What's more, it's believed the events of this segment will fling the franchise even further into the future, with cut content from Assassin's Creed Mirage seeing Animus operators refer to the 21st century as ancient history and the time of the Great Shift. For those unaware, Assassin's Creed Red is the current codename for Ubisoft's open-world RPG venture into Japan. It is confirmed to take place in Japan, with the trailer showing a female shinobi protagonist. Assassin's Creed Red rumors also claim that there will be a playable African-American samurai, though how all of this works out exactly remains to be seen. The new rumors regarding Assassin's Creed Red featuring segments taking place between 2090 to 2099 come from Insider Gaming, but that's about the gist of all it has learned. It's possible more is learned in the coming months, especially because it is believed that Assassin's Creed Red will be the next mainline entry in the franchise. However, it's worth highlighting the possible ramifications of whether this is true or not. In essence, everyone in the current modern-day segments such as William Miles, Sean, and Rebecca would all be dead, as would any Abstergo Templars. It is possible that Basim is still alive following the events of Assassin's Creed Valhalla and possible future developments, though. What's more, it's even possible he's behind whatever tragedy occurs in the 21st century and the Great Shift, as the data-mined recordings from AC Mirage suggest it's apocalyptic in nature, whatever it is. This rumor would also suggest, to some degree, that Layla and the reader, Desmond, also failed in their mission to prevent complete disaster to the world. Unless it's another impossible decision like in AC3. Either way, the next few chapters of modern/future storytelling of the AC franchise will be based in Assassin's Creed Infinity, which is currently understood to be a hub connecting future AC games like Red and Hex. It'll be interesting to see how Ubisoft handles this approach, assuming this is true, and how fans will respond to it. The modern-day segments have been divisive for quite a few years now, with AC Mirage forgoing it almost entirely, but replacing that with future storytelling may not have really been on anyone's bingo cards. A recent leak points to the identity of one of the Assassin's Creed codename Red protagonists, who is based on a real historical figure. Very little has been revealed about Ubisoft's long-awaited take on a Japan-based Assassin's Creed game, although several rumors have emerged about Assassin's Creed Red's story and gameplay. Although Assassin's Creed games are, in many ways, defined by their adherence to specific historical periods, the series' protagonists and the stories they embark upon are almost completely fictional, although real historical figures do often appear. With Assassin's Creed Red taking place in feudal Japan, a setting fans have been asking the series to visit for years. Many have speculated as to which historical figures and events will feature in the game's narrative. Earlier this year, a writer for Ubisoft updated his LinkedIn banner with an image of a female character who many have assumed to be the Assassin's Creed Red protagonist. But leaks and speculation have also led to the belief that the game will feature two different playable characters, one who is a samurai, and one who is a shinobi. According to a recent report from Insider Gaming, the samurai protagonist of Assassin's Creed Red could be Yasuke, an African man who found himself in the service of Oda Nobunaga, a prominent samurai. Concrete facts about Yasuke's life are sparse and often disputed, but he was a real person and is often thought of as the first non-Japanese samurai in recorded history. In the same report, Insider Gaming states that Yasuke in Assassin's Creed Red is a former slave who has been rescued following a deadly attack on his ship. If Yasuke really is the other Assassin's Creed Red protagonist, he represents a major step for the series. As previously mentioned, Assassin's Creed has always included prominent historical figures, but none have ever been the protagonist. With so much of Yasuke's story being a mystery, it should allow for Ubisoft to take enough creative liberties to make him a viable player character. There's a good chance he won't be too constrained by real-world facts. Earlier this year, a leaker revealed some details on the female protagonist named Neo, who is on a quest for revenge following the death of her father. Insider Gaming corroborated this information, with Neo's full name currently being called Neo Fujibayashi, the daughter of the legendary real-life Fujibayashi Nagato, who is considered to be one of the three greatest IGA Jonin. In October 2023, the first image of Neo leaked online via the LinkedIn profile of senior writer Pierre Boudreau. Similar to Neo, Yasuke's story starts off with tragedy, and unlike his real-life story, his story has been rewritten. Yasuke has been the subject of fascination for quite some time now. A few years ago, Netflix released the anime Yasuke, starring Lakeith Stanfield as the titular character, and Yasuke even appears in Nioh. Fans have been waiting a long time for an Assassin's Creed game in Japan. And infusing a bit of extra historical detail to the game in the form of Yasuke could make Assassin's Creed codename Red even more unique and worth checking out. A prototype of a cancelled PS2-era Daredevil game has emerged online. The Marvel hero already been on fans' minds, as many believe a Marvel Spider-Man 2 Easter egg is hinting toward a Daredevil debut in either a future update or DLC. Even Insomniac creative director Brian Intihar has been raising eyebrows concerning the tease, simply telling players to stay tuned. While fans are speculating about a future appearance for the Marvel Comics vigilante, a blast from the past in the form of a cancelled PS2-era game is keeping Daredevil in the news for another reason entirely. This isn't the first fans have heard about the shelved title, as footage from the cancelled Daredevil game appeared online a few years back. Now, it appears as though a playable version is available online. Hidden Palace, a group dedicated to game preservation, reportedly received a prototype of cancelled PS2 title Daredevil: The Man Without Fear from an anonymous developer. The prototype was then made playable by a friend of the community referred to as Solid Snake 11 and subsequently released as a downloadable file on the organization's website for fans to check out. While Daredevil: The Man Without Fear is just one of several cancelled Marvel games from over the years, its nearly completed state makes it an interesting case study, as it is now a playable prototype. According to Hidden Palace, Daredevil: The Man Without Fear is a third-person action game developed by 5000 FT Studios. The game was slated to be published by Encore Inc. for the PS2, original Xbox, and PC in the mid-2000s. Unfortunately, reported contradicting notes from Marvel and Sony led to the game's cancellation just before it was completed. The story of Daredevil, The Man Without Fear takes inspiration from the Elektra Lives Again graphic novel from author and artist Frank Miller. Interestingly enough, the release of the prototype comes at a time when fans are eagerly awaiting word from Insomniac concerning Daredevil and his potential inclusion in the studio's Marvel universe. Gamers have long made the case for developer Insomniac to make a new Daredevil game, but teases and comments from creative director Intihar have recently stoked the fires of speculation online. Between future Spider-Man games presumably on the way from Insomniac as well as an already announced Wolverine game currently in development, the studio has plenty of Marvel properties to tackle in the coming years. Whether a Daredevil standalone title or future DLC featuring the Marvel protagonist are actually on the way remains to be seen, but it does appear as though the character's popularity is nearing an all-time high. Tekken 8 has released a trailer revealing the brand new character Victor Chevalier. Fans are eagerly awaiting Tekken 8's release, which will feature the second all-new fighter after Azucena's reveal at EVO 2023. Bandai Namco will continue the tragic saga of the Mishima lineage in Tekken 8, and for this, the game will have a bigger story mode than Tekken 7. In the new narrative, after defeating his father, Heihachi Mishima, Kazuya will continue his plans for global domination. Jin Kazama will face his destiny by reuniting with his mother, Jun Kazama, a character who hasn't been seen since 2011's Tekken Tag Tournament 2. Jun's return is not the only one in the game, which will welcome back other veterans such as Fong. In preparation for the next battle, Tekken 8 has released a new trailer with another name to join the roster. Tekken 8 has released an exciting trailer revealing the new character Victor Chevalier. The video shows an old gentleman dressed in an elegant gray suit as he takes on other opponents like Raven, a fighter who is back in Tekken 8. What is most striking about the gameplay trailer is that Victor uses different weapons such as a pistol, which gives him access to a long-range projectile, and a dagger for quick, lethal blows. Chevalier also uses a laser sword for longer-range attacks and has a teleport similar to the one Final Fantasy XIV's Noctis had in Tekken 7. Victor's setting couldn't be more appropriate, with the fights taking place aboard a yacht with Paris and the Eiffel Tower in the background. With the nickname Refined Violence, Victor Chevalier is a name of great importance in Tekken lore. He is the first French Tekken character and a living legend who founded and trained the Raven Force. Made up of a class of secret agent ninjas, two of the organization's best-known operatives are Raven and Master Raven. Along with gameplay, the trailer revealed that Victor is voiced by French actor Vincent Cassel, famous for work such as Black Swan, Ocean's 12, and Westworld. With Victor, fans note 31 fighters from Tekken 8's launch roster, with only one name left to be announced. Street Fighter VI and Mortal Kombat 1 had the limelight this year with exciting entries for their respective franchises. Tekken 8 won't arrive until next year, but despite the wait, fans are still very excited about the game. After all, after the success that Tekken 7 represented for the series, players can't help but have high expectations for what Tekken 8 has in store. We got some acquisition updates here. Atari will acquire long-running US developer Digital Eclipse in a deal worth $20 million. Founded in 1992, Digital Eclipse is best known from remastering retro games with releases such as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Cowabunga Collection, the Disney Classic Games Collection and the SNK 40th Anniversary Collection. The studio has already worked with Atari on the acclaimed Atari 50, the Anniversary Collection. The acquisition is expected to close in the next few days. Atari is paying an initial consideration of $6.5 million, of which $4 million is cash and $2.5 million is newly issued ordinary shares, with potential performance-based earnouts of up to $13.5 million payable in cash over the next 10 years. In an FAQ on its own website, Digital Eclipse said it will still have the freedom to seek out projects with other parties. The studio has various unannounced projects in the works that aren't based on Atari IP, and these will carry on as planned. The developer also said it plans to continue its Gold Master Series project, a range of video game documentaries about key retro titles, which began earlier this year with the making of Karateka. The digital Eclipse arcade series will also continue, as well work on the remaster of Wizardry, providing grounds of the Mad Overlord. In fact, the studio said the latter will benefit from Atari's ownership as the team has cooked up some lofty goals for this project, and this acquisition might make it a little easier for us to reach them. Anyone who has invested in the company via FIG will be unaffected, with the dividend schedule unchanged and all FIG funds still used on development of Digital Eclipse's various projects. Atari and Digital Eclipse share the same ethos when it comes to the celebration and preservation of gaming history, said Digital Eclipse CEO Andrew Eyre. It's an exciting combination, and I am confident this will serve Digital Eclipse and our fans extremely well as we grow our business and expand our capabilities. The acquisition follows Atari's purchase of Night Dive Studios for $10 million in retro community Atari Age earlier this year. Digital Eclipse is the best in the world at what they do, said Atari CEO and Chairman Wade Rosen. They have a deep love and respect for the history of the games industry, and are renowned for developing critically acclaimed projects based on historic franchises. Digital Eclipse, along with Night Dive, are in perfect alignment with Atari's DNA and renewed purpose. I'm personally excited to see where we can push the boundaries of retro innovation together, said the CEO of Atari. Devolver has acquired System Era in a deal worth up to $40 million. As reported by Game Developer, an initial $22 million will be paid by Devolver, made up of $20 million in cash as soon as the deal closes, and $2 million of shares to be issued and paid a year after closing. This is in addition to a $10 million deferred consideration, and up to $8 million potential earnout, both payable in cash and shares. European law firm Fieldfisher, which is acting on behalf of Devolver, commented, "The acquisition represents a strategic opportunity for Devolver to extend its reach beyond its core strength of premium indie titles, leveraging System Era's knowledge of expandable game style development, as well as its live operations technology and existing IP." System Era confirmed the acquisition in a blog post, saying, "This partnership, working in-house with Devolver, lets us focus on what we love, the way we love to do it. We don't shed independence lightly. But with Devolver, we don't think System Era is losing independence. We think it's finding a new home among a like-minded confederation of talented people." The Seattle-based studio was founded in 2014, and released the sandbox multiplayer game Astroneer on PC in 2016. Hopefully these smaller acquisitions lead to more funding and creativity. Blizzcon2023 started a few days ago as Blizzard president Mike Ibarra took the stage and began. World of Warcraft just surprised players by announcing the next 3 expansion packs during BlizzCon. Titled The War Within, Midnight, and The Last Titan, these 3 content updates are a part of the Worldsoul Saga, the new multi-expansion storytelling experience in World of Warcraft. Blizzard president Mike Ibarra had previously confirmed the Warcraft franchise had the most to show off this year at BlizzCon. Between the launch of Warcraft Rumble, new content for Hearthstone, and an expected announcement for the next World of Warcraft expansion, fans had high expectations going into the convention. However, World of Warcraft showed much more than just the next expansion. During the presentation, WoW Executive Creative Director Chris Metzen introduced players to the Worldsoul Saga, a new 3-expansion storyline that begins next year. This narrative starts with World of Warcraft The War Within in 2024, and will continue in World of Warcraft Midnight and World of Warcraft The Last Titan afterward. World of Warcraft The War Within explores the continent of Khaz-Algar, the Isle of Dorne, the Ringing Deeps, Hallowfall, and the Nerubian kingdom of Azj-Kahet. Illyria, Thrall, Anduin, and Xal'atath play major roles as darkness threatens the deep places of Azeroth. World of Warcraft Midnight returns to Quel'Thalas as the forces of the Void seek to snuff out the Sunwell. The conflict between the light and the void will be the focus of this story. And World of Warcraft The Last Titan takes place in Northrend and Ulduar, and acts as the culmination of the Worldsoul Saga. The Titans return to Azeroth, and players will uncover a vast conspiracy that will reconceptualize the godlike being's goals and actions, as well as the true purpose of Azeroth. The upcoming expansion was revealed by Chris Metzen, the executive creative director of the Warcraft franchise, as the final announcement of the BlizzCon2023 opening ceremony. Following a cinematic trailer that featured Anduin and Thrall, a separate gameplay trailer focusing on Illyria Windrunner was shown off and later uploaded to the World of Warcraft YouTube channel. While initial leaks about the World of Warcraft expansion focused on the continent of Aevum, the trailer proved those rumors false. Instead, the focus was on new zones such as the Dwarven Isle of Dorne located above ground. Players will eventually delve underground into the Nerubian citadel of Azjgahate and the mysterious ringing deeps that some kobolds and earthen call home. In addition, the earthy city of Hallowfall was briefly shown, with a gigantic sun-like crystal looming overhead. As for gameplay features, World of Warcraft players will be able to form account-wide warbands to share resources and reputation across all their characters, and the Earthen will be available to both Alliance and Horde players as an allied race. Players will also be able to take part in treasure delves, and all classes and specializations will be able to pick from hero talents to further customize their builds. For example, a balanced druid can become either a keeper of the grove or a chosen of Elun. Finally, some older mounts such as Invincible and Ashes of Aliar will be able to use dynamic riding, which appeared to be based on Dragonflight's popular dragon riding feature. Though patch 10.2 is immediately on World of Warcraft's horizon, Blizzard also confirmed that a future patch will bridge Dragonflight and the war within together. World of Warcraft has long been home to a variety of vicious, uncompromising, and cruel characters. In a world as war-torn and chaotic as Azeroth, innocence and hope are often snuffed out. There was an exception to this pattern, however, a character called Anduin Wrynn. But with his appearance in the War Within expansion cinematic, he seems all but unrecognizable. Anduin became High King of the Alliance after his father, Varian Wrynn's death in World of Warcraft Legion. Since then, his journey has been defined by his stubborn compassion and deep connection to the light. His youth, coupled with his sensitive yet stalwart nature, made him unique among the game's main characters. At least, that's how he used to be. Ever since the events of World of Warcraft Shadowlands, Anduin hasn't been himself. When Sylvanas Windrunner stole him away to the Maw, she forged his legendary sword, Charlemagne, the blade that once belonged to his father, into Kingsmorn. This Mornblade, eerily reminiscent of Arthas Menethil's infamous sword, Frostmourne, was used to enslave Anduin, chaining the young king's soul to the whims of the jailer. The jailer, Shadowlands' main antagonist, forced Anduin to do terrible things, turning him against friends he held dear to his heart. He did eventually manage to break free from the jailer's hold, but only just in the nick of time. After such a traumatic series of events, Anduin revealed that he'd lost his connection to the light. His faith had been shaken to its core, and as a result, he'd lost a major part of his identity. Anduin couldn't bring himself to return to Stormwind and lead the Alliance as their king. If he had lost faith in himself, how could he ask his subjects to put their faith in him? He left the kingdom in the more than capable hands of Turalyon, already a longtime hero of the people. 3 years later, 5 years since the jailer broke him, Anduin still hasn't returned. Confirmed to be 25 years old at the start of World of Warcraft Dragonflight, Anduin Wrynn now looks completely different. He still wears his old armor but without the shoulder plates or helmet. A pale cloak conceals most of his torso, tattered and worn. The most striking physical change, however, is his face. Gone are the golden locks and small ponytail that defined his appearance for so long. The softness and youth in his features have all but evaporated, replaced with scars and weathered skin. The former king's bright blue eyes, once shining with hope, now hold a deep pain that speaks volumes of his prior ordeal. In the War Within expansion cinematic reveal, Anduin is pensive and fragile. With a single hand on his shoulder, he is rocketed back to the devastating moment he finally broke free of his Mornblade, and the agony is relived anew. Anduin was once known for his incredibly steady hands, a trait that made him an excellent healer, but now his limbs tremble constantly. This character transformation is heart-wrenching not only to the other characters who know and love Anduin, but to many players as well. It's a poignant representation of what post-traumatic stress disorder is really like and adds another layer of depth to an already emotionally complex character. Carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders for so long was bound to take its toll, but during the events of Shadowlands, Anduin finally broke. What lies in Anduin's future is uncertain. He will still fight to protect Azeroth and her Titan Worldsoul, but it seems that the former bastion of optimism might be gone for good. There's no real certainty that he'll go back to being High King of the Alliance, but one can only hope that he will work his way through the trauma and begin to heal his wounded heart. From Metzen's words during the announcement, these World of Warcraft expansions may be smaller than previous releases have been. It also seems Dragonflight patch 10.2 may be the last major patch of the expansion, with the War Within dropping sometime next year. It remains to be seen how exactly the release schedule will work, but it sounds like there will be smaller WoW expansions more often, rather than bigger ones every 2 years. Players can expect to learn more about the War Within during the rest of BlizzCon, as well as over the next several months as the story of Dragonflight wraps up in patch 10.2 and beyond. Though Midnight and the Last Titan may not get new information right away, players will certainly see more hints of these upcoming storylines as the War Within plays out. Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred is the first expansion pack for the latest Blizzard title, and it will bring players back to the familiar jungle setting of Kurast. Despite the success that Diablo 4 enjoyed at launch, many players from the community have since soured on its endgame due to the controversial changes introduced by Season of the Malignant. Though Diablo 4's Season of Blood introduced many quality-of-life changes that have taken player feedback into account, fans have still been holding out hope for something more substantial on the horizon. At BlizzCon2023, Vessel of Hatred was announced, and though it is only slated to arrive in late 2024, the first Diablo 4 expansion is a prime opportunity to build on the foundation established in June to help Diablo 4 reach its potential, much like Reaper of Souls did for its predecessor. The next chapter in the world of Sanctuary was teased with a short video showcasing the Torajan jungles, as well as the Mesoamerican-inspired ziggurats of Kurast. Kurast is a fan-favorite location for many Diablo 2 fans, albeit the gnarled pathways of its jungle zones can be a bit of an acquired taste. The dark atmosphere as players ascend the city towards Travincal and the Durance of Hate has forged many powerful memories, and has likely played a key factor in Blizzard's decision to bring Kurast back for Diablo 4 in Vessel of Hatred. Much like last time, players will once again give chase to Mephisto across the jungles and ziggurats of Kurast as he seeks to corrupt Neyrelle, his new vessel. A new class is joining the fray in the eternal conflict over the world of Sanctuary, and though it hasn't been unveiled just yet, it was strongly hinted to be a brand new archetype previously not featured in any past Diablo titles. While players have been hoping for Paladins or Crusaders, especially given the focus on the Zakarum faith in Kurast, recent Diablo 4 leaks point towards a glaive-wielding nature-based class being the new addition in Vessel of Hatred. While the BlizzCon trailer for Vessel of Hatred is short, it does give players a good glimpse at what they can expect from what will likely be the expansion's main quest. Throughout the trailer, the voice of Mephisto can be heard taunting the player, setting the prime evil up to be a major character in the Vessel of Hatred expansion. Following up on Mephisto's role in Diablo 4's base game, many fans had expected him to be the focus of the game's first expansion, and this reveal trailer confirms this theory to be the case. Mephisto also references the player abdicating their choice to this child, likely referring to the ending of Diablo 4's base game where Neyrelle takes the soul stone that Mephisto is trapped in and sets off to parts unknown. He goes on to claim that with every step she takes, he grows stronger, setting the villain up to become a new threat the player will have to face in this expansion. This wording, along with the title Vessel of Hatred, implies that Neyrelle may become a new vessel for Mephisto to inhabit, leading to a tragic showdown where players might have to face off against their former ally. Visually, this trailer showcases a lush jungle followed by a massive stone temple before fading to black and showing the expansion's logo. These images likely mean that the Vessel of Hatred expansion will be bringing players back to Kurast, the former capital of Khagistan located southeast of the region on Diablo 4's map in a new region called Nahantu. Kurast and the surrounding Torajan jungles that comprise Nahantu were the location of Diablo 2's Act 3 which featured Mephisto as the boss, and it appears that Vessel of Hatred is paying homage to this entry in the series with its setting and emphasis on Mephisto. Fans of Diablo 4 can look forward to a Mephisto-centric quest set in Diablo 2's Kurast via the region of Nahantu in the Vessel of Hatred expansion coming in late 2024. Although no new class has been officially announced, Blizzard has teased a never-before-seen class coming in this expansion. One aspect of the expansion that wasn't revealed in this trailer was a potential new class coming in Vessel of Hatred. However, Blizzard did hint that a new class is indeed coming in this expansion, and it will be brand new to the series. Meaning fans who were hoping for the Paladin or Amazon class to return from Diablo 2 might be disappointed. Late 2024 is still a way off, so Diablo 4 fans excited about the Vessel of Hatred expansion should keep an eye out for more info coming from Blizzard in the coming months. Though the teaser was brief, the excitement was palpable among Diablo fans, as many are hoping that Vessel of Hatred will be a turning point for the game. A focus on fixing Diablo 4's itemization was mentioned during the opening ceremony, and if Season of Blood is any indication, then it would seem that the road to the first Diablo 4 expansion will have even more positive changes added to the game. It cannot be denied that Vessel of Hatred has all the right tools to give Diablo 4 the redemption story deserving of its franchise, and fans are hoping that Blizzard will stick the landing in late 2024. On November 16th, Immortals of Aevum will receive its biggest update, 1.0.6.0, since its release, bringing with it a plethora of highly requested features, free new gameplay content, and much, much more. It's also worth noting that another update, 1.0.5.5, ahead of then is now live, bringing performance boosts to both the console and PC versions of Immortals of Aevum. While Immortals of Aevum has had a bumpy few weeks since launch, it's clear how dedicated the studio is to improving the final product, and these features may bring quite a few folks back. Dubbed the Collector Update, free. This update includes the following new features for Immortals of Aevum on November 16th, which includes new playable content, gear, and lore expansion. New Game Plus has been one of the biggest feature requests for Immortals of Aevum since launch, and it'll soon have it. New Game Plus works as one would expect, with players able to carry over most spells minus a handful, with higher levels for fear, and more. When booting up New Game Plus in Immortals of Aevum, players can also adjust the difficulty and select the new Grand Magnus difficulty, if they so choose. It can also be selected with any new playthrough. Ascendant Studios does not outline the exact changes this mode offers, but it promises to be the most challenging mode yet, as players face off with Sandrak's army. Once players reach Glavegate in Immortals of Aevum's story, they will also have the chance to check out the new endgame with the Collector content update. It is a new endgame objective players can enjoy new lore and content with, where Jack must purify the path due to the events of the Everwar. Essentially, the weakening path has seen the Conscious Cape break out across Aevum, creating portals to new undiscovered areas called Shatterfanes. Jack must put an end to each of these Shatterfanes and the forces siphoning the path's power, promising new engaging boss fights for the game. In a year that's been absolutely packed with quality releases, Remnant 2 continues to stand out as one of 2023's most enjoyable titles. In just 2 weeks' time, fans will have plenty of reason to jump back into the world of Remnant 2 with the release of the first planned DLC for the game. Titled The Awakened King, this initial DLC expansion is the first of 3 that developer Gunfire Games has planned for Remnant 2. The expansion promises to introduce a slew of new content for the title, enticing players who may have seen most of what's on offer in the base game to squad back up and travel through the world stones once again. The core experience of Remnant 2 offers hundreds of potential hours of gameplay between character and campaign rerolls. But the addition of DLC content is both a welcome and expected surprise given the amount of DLC that eventually came to Remnant, from the ashes. With a new storyline and archetype on offer, The Awakened King is just the kind of content fans of the title won't want to miss. The world of Lausum in Remnant 2 is one of the game's most intriguing locations, with gilded elven castles giving way to ramshackle Victorian towns reminiscent of Bloodborne. The Awakened King DLC features a brand new storyline that introduces a set of new areas within the world of Lausum as well as a storyline centered around the one true king, who has been driven mad by corruption from the root. Of course, players can expect a bevy of new equipment and rewards hidden within the depths of new dungeons and guarded by new enemy types. Not content to leave Remnant 2 with its current total of 11 different classes, dubbed archetypes, for players to choose from, a brand new archetype is being introduced in the DLC. The Ritualist is a new class type for players to experiment with, using status effects and debuffs to weaken foes before finishing them off with more standard implements. And, with the ability to have both primary and secondary archetypes in Remnant 2, players are sure to discover some excellent synergies with already existing classes. As one might expect, the Awakened King introduces a slew of new weapons, items, amulets, rings, and armor sets for players to discover within the confines of Lausum's new area and new dungeons. While Gunfire hasn't provided any specific info on particular weapons or new mod abilities, each of the new pieces of equipment that the Awakened King brings to the table will have viability both in the DLC and within the main campaign of Remnant 2. With new dungeons must also come new loot, and players can surely expect some devious puzzles to solve in order to access Remnant 2's best DLC rewards. Players will encounter plenty of new NPCs and allies within the new area of Lazum, but they shouldn't expect every new face to be a friendly one. The new area's coastal setting promises to include some new enemy types and bosses that embody the horrors lurking in the depths of the ocean. Each of these new threats will present players with a suitable challenge, and on November 14th, fans of Remnant 2 will need to steel themselves for battle when the Awakened King launches. The Spec 2 Update 1.40 for Gran Turismo 7 is bringing various changes to PlayStation's exclusive racing game, but PS4 players won't be able to receive all the new content coming with this update. Developer Polyphony Digital announced that this update was the largest to date coming to Gran Turismo 7, giving players additional content to discover on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. Upon its release in March 2022, Gran Turismo 7 gathered mainly positive reception, with players praising Polyphony Digital's game for its realistic graphics, smooth gameplay, physics and immersive use of the DualSense haptic feedback. Gran Turismo 7 is one of the best-selling entries in the series and continues to bring new content for players over a year after its original release. Also, the Gran Turismo movie brought in a lot of players in the form of game sales that got boosted. Ken Chan, senior product manager at Sony Interactive Entertainment, shared the full patch notes of the Spec 2 Update 1.40 for Gran Turismo 7. This update introduced 7 new cars, a Spec 2 opening movie, the new Lake Louise circuit, an update to World Circuits, 50 additional challenges to licenses, as well as a variety of quality-of-life improvements. The two main features brought by the Spec 2 Update 1.40 for Gran Turismo 7 are the new version of Sophie, an AI driver agent with quick race, and the 4-player split-screen races. However, there is a catch: these two features are only available for PlayStation 5 users. The 7 new cars joining the Gran Turismo 7 lineup are the Dodge Charger RT 426 Hemi 68, Dodge Charger SRT Demon 18, Lexus LFA 10, Mercedes-Benz 190e February 5, 16 Evolution 291, Nismo 400R95, Porsche 911 GT3 RS 992, 22, and Tesla Model 3 Performance 23. Players can drive them through Lake Louise, a new course designed as a fictional ski resort available with 3 different layouts. With this new update, Gran Turismo 7 offers players a new way to enjoy this racing game, especially with the 4-player split-screen races and the addition of a new AI agent. The Gran Turismo franchise has been under the spotlight for the past few years, with the success of the VR support of Gran Turismo 7 on PSVR 2 and the Gran Turismo movie, but most importantly the quality of the game, as it is nearing 100 million sales for the franchise. Sega published its annual report, which says that the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise had 1.6 billion players as of March 2023. The figure, which includes both its full game sales and downloads of its free-to-play versions, is up 7% compared to last year. Sonic Frontiers, launched in November 2022, partly contributed to the series' unit and download growth, and Sega noted the series has also benefited from the success of the 2020 Sonic movie and its 2022 sequel. Meanwhile, since its debut in 2000, the strategy series Total War has amassed 43.4 million more units in sales and downloads, growing 7% year-over-year. Sega's Football Manager series has pulled in 30.2 million units and downloads, a growth of 21% year-over-year. Its latest entry, Football Manager 2023, launched on PC in November 2022 and then on PlayStation 5 in February. Additionally, the crime drama series Like a Dragon has moved 21.3 million units as it increased sales by 7% year-over-year. The franchise saw the release of Like a Dragon-ition on February 17. The Persona series has shifted 17.7 million units in downloads, up 14% year-over-year. While the franchise had no releases, Persona 3, Persona 4, and Persona 5 were ported to Xbox Series and Nintendo Switch consoles during late 2022 and early 2023. Sega, the publisher behind franchises like Sonic the Hedgehog, Like a Dragon, Persona, and more, has provided a small update on the progress of its lofty, super game that's still expected to be ready by 2026. This ambitious venture was first announced back in 2021 with little to no concrete details regarding its size, structure, or the Sega IP that would be attached. With all this going on under Sega's roof, the publisher is still right on track with the development of its ambitious, yet mysterious, super game project. As reported by Video Games Chronicle, one of Sega's COOs, Shuji Utsumi, provided a small update on the status of its super game as part of an annual report. Utsumi reaffirmed that the project is going smoothly and is still aiming for 2026 as it enters production. Utsumi added that the game will seek to involve the entire gaming ecosystem, including players, streamers, and viewers. Despite this small update, the concept of exactly what this super game will entail is still quite unclear. What is very clear, however, is the sheer amount of resources Sega is pumping into the project. When the game was first announced in 2021, Sega expressed its consideration of spending a whopping amount of over $800 million on its development. It would be interesting to know if Sega did go ahead with spending this amount or if it's planning to spend even more on the super game 2 years later. It's also not clear which of its popular IPs and characters Sega is planning to utilize for this community-driven online platform experience, or whether mixing characters like Sonic and Kazuma Kiryu is a good idea if this is indeed the intent. And the rumored budget for this game is $600 million long-term, not initial. Since Utsumi makes it seem like Sega's super game has just entered full production, fans of the publisher may have to wait a long while to see and learn more about the game's genre, gameplay, structure, and the Sega IPs that may be involved. If that 2026 window ends up holding true, perhaps it's possible that Sega may fully unveil the project sometime in 2025. Sega's goal is for Sonic the Hedgehog to catch up to Mario and eventually surpass Nintendo's iconic plumber. The Sonic the Hedgehog franchise was initially conceived as a direct competitor to Nintendo's Super Mario Bros. Series. Sonic himself became Sega's mascot in the same way that Mario represents Nintendo, and the two characters were at the center of a heated rivalry between the gaming mega brands in the 90s. Some poor decisions on Sega's part led to the company dipping out of the home console market completely. This move saw the longtime rivalry between Sega and Nintendo come to an end, as Sega started releasing its games on Nintendo consoles, including titles from its flagship Sonic the Hedgehog franchise. Eventually, there were even some crossover games released featuring both Sonic and Mario. While Sega and Nintendo may be on better terms nowadays, it seems there is still a desire for Sonic the Hedgehog to eventually surpass Mario. In an interview published by Sega and reported on by My Nintendo News, division manager Osamu Ohashi was asked how he plans on growing the Sonic the Hedgehog brand in the future. To put it simply, I want to surpass Mario. Sonic was originally developed to compete with Mario, and we have yet to achieve that. Because we respect Mario, our goal is to catch up to and surpass him. We want Sonic to be played all over the world, including Japan, just like Mario, and we want the movie to be a bigger hit than Mario. That is our goal as Sonic lovers, said Osamu. It's entirely possible that Sega could one day achieve its goal of Sonic the Hedgehog surpassing Super Mario, but it will be an extremely uphill battle. Whereas Super Mario has consistently released one hit game after another, the same can't be said for Sonic the Hedgehog. In fact, the majority of Sonic the Hedgehog games released since Sonic Adventure 2 have been met with middling if not outright negative reception. Whereas Mario has thrived in both 2D and 3D, Sonic has not had the same luck. Sonic Frontiers earned mixed reception, but it was otherwise better received than many other recent 3D Sonic games. Perhaps it can serve as the foundation for a higher quality Sonic the Hedgehog game down the line that could give Mario a run for his money. Sega may have more luck competing with Mario in the 2D space, though, as the 2D Sonic Mania game is one of the good Sonic games in years. As far as competing with the Super Mario Bros. Movie, that's another goal that's not impossible, though seems unlikely. The Super Mario Bros. Movie is the highest-grossing video game movie of all time, sailing past $1 billion and standing tall as the second highest-grossing movie of 2023 to date. The Sonic the Hedgehog movies have been box office successes as well, with Sonic the Hedgehog 2 earning $100 million more than its predecessor. But Sonic the Hedgehog 3 would have to be a massive leap forward for Sonic to catch up to Mario at the box office. Even though in my opinion, Sonic has better characters and storytelling than Mario, but it will definitely be an uphill battle to surpass Mario in overall brand recognition. Remedy saw a slight decrease in its overall revenue during the third quarter of 2023, July to September 2023, its latest financial results showed. The Finnish developer reported a 1.1% drop in revenue, which was similar to the same period last year, going from €7.9 million to €7.8 million. The report also included revenue for the 9 months ended September 2023, which fell by 21.1% to €23.6 million. Remedy CEO Tero Virtala attributed the decrease in revenue to lower development fees from Alan Wake 2 as the project was nearing its launch. The company did see an increase in royalty revenue driven by 2021's Alan Wake Remastered, which regained its development and marketing investments during the third quarter. Remedy launched the long-awaited sequel to 2013's Alan Wake on October 27 to critical acclaim. Virtala said that while it is too early to draw conclusions on the success of Alan Wake 2, it is clear that fans and critics have appreciated it, giving the game a strong basis for good long-term sales. Alan Wake 2 will be supported post-launch by a new Game Plus and photo mode followed by 2 paid expansions. Looking ahead, Remedy expects its revenue to decline from the previous year and its operation result to be negative, Virtala said. In the long term, Remedy has several titles in development including a sequel to Control and remakes of Max Payne 1 and 2, which reached the production stage. Virtuala confirmed that Control 2 is in the proof-of-concept stage, while the Max Payne remakes are in the production readiness stage. Remedy's upcoming co-op multiplayer Condor has moved to the production readiness stage, while Codename Vanguard is aiming towards completing the proof-of-concept stage by the end of the year. Electronic Arts released its earnings report for Q2 FY24, which is the 3 months ended September 30, 2023, with the firm seeing slight revenue and bookings growth attributed to Madden NFL, FIFA 23 and the successful launch of EA Sports FC 24. Revenue was $1.91 billion, up 0.5% year-over-year, and net income was $399 million, up 33% year-over-year. 3 EA Sports titles outperformed their expectations during the third quarter. Madden NFL 24 delivered net bookings growth of 6% year-over-year, while the EA Sports FC franchise helped boost revenue and total net bookings with FIFA 23 and the launch of FC 24. You can read all about FC 24's performance here. Meanwhile, bookings for Apex Legends were down year-on-year, though EA said this was actually above its expectations, with Season 18 driving greater than anticipated player acquisition and monetization. Overall, live services and other net bookings were up 1% year-over-year to $1.13 billion. Over the past 12 months, live services made up 73% of EA's business. EA Sports strength, driven by new releases and ongoing live services, delivered Q2 results ahead of expectations, said EA CFO Stuart Canfield. He added, "We remain focused on delivering for our growing player communities and building upon the momentum across our portfolio, while prioritizing investments that execute against our largest opportunities to drive long-term growth." Looking ahead, EA expects net revenues between $1.8 billion and $2 billion for the final quarter of its fiscal year. For the full year, the company's outlook for revenue and net bookings remain unchanged compared to the previous quarter, with the latter expected to be between $7.3 billion and $7.7 billion, roughly flat to up 5% year-over-year, Canfield said. In the earnings call, CEO Andrew Wilson also said the publisher is seeing softness in Europe when it comes to video game spend. Speaking to investors during the firm's financial call, Wilson says he is seeing overall growth for the market and that games with deep engagement continue to perform strongly. However, trends differ geographically, and singled out Europe as a market that's performing below expectations. According to GSD market data seen by GamesIndustry.biz, 125.5 million PC and console games have been sold across Europe year-to-date, a slight rise of 3.2% over last year. All major markets are currently posting year-on-year growth, with the exception of Germany, where game sales are down 4.2%. It's worth noting that 2023 has been a particularly big year for major game launches, and the PS5 is also now in full supply, so it's possible publishers had expected a stronger performance from Europe this year. EA Sports FC 24 has had a successful launch and EA expects modest growth for the title year-on-year, CFO Stuart Canfield said during the firm's earnings call for Q2 FY 2024. Looking ahead, Canfield said that the EA Sports FC franchise remains on track for a low single-digit growth for the year. Fortnite has recently seen an incredible increase in players as Chapter 4 Season 5 officially begins. The immense rise in player count coincides with the season's introduction of the OG map, which brings back the original map to Fortnite. The beginning of Chapter 4 Season 5 sees the return of the original map from 2017, dubbed simply as OG. While maintaining the current gameplay mechanics, the original Fortnite map welcomes back popular locations such as Tilted Towers, Paradise Palms, Loot Lake, and many others. Since then, Fortnite has evolved into the well-known Battle Royale title that the gaming industry is familiar with. Thanks to the OG map, millions of players are logging in to land their favorite spots that were once a part of the game years ago. November 3rd sees the start of Chapter 4 Season 5, named Season OG based on the gameplay trailer for the season. Within just a day, the Fortnite player count climbed to an all-time peak at 5,471,208 players. This statistic reflects more than triple the number of players that have been accounted for since April 2023, right in the middle of Chapter 4 Season 2. According to Fortnite.gg, the data reads a somewhat continuous climb from April 2023 with 1,834,545 players to November's 5,471,208 count. After the launch of Fortnite OG on November 3rd, the game smashed a couple of major milestones over the weekend. Taking to social media, the official Fortnite account revealed that on Saturday, November 4th, the game saw its biggest day in its history with over 44.7 million players logging in and racking up a combined 102 million hours of play during that time. The news shouldn't be too surprising for players as Fortnite began seeing a spike of players following the Season OG reveal trailer based on data accumulated via Fortnite.gg. The player count continued to climbing to an all-time high of over 5 million players, though following the content release as well as positive word of mouth, it's clear that there has been significant interest in seeing what else Fortnite has managed to bring to the table with this update. While the explosion in players is no doubt good for the game, which has continued to be immensely popular, the trick will be sustaining that momentum. It seems as though Epic has attempted to plan ahead as the Fortnite experience will continue to evolve and change on a weekly basis. While the first week takes players back to Chapter 1, Season 5, Epic will be moving the game forward in time every week starting on November 9th with Chapter 1 Season 6, then Seasons 7 and 8, and finally Season 9 and X. Bungie has issued an official statement on the future of Destiny 2, as it finds itself in the middle of a crisis. The past couple of days have been rough for Bungie as it has seemingly laid off around 100 people from its total workforce owing to the drop in Destiny 2's popularity, which has left the fans concerned. Currently, the Destiny 2 story is on the verge of concluding its long-running Light vs. Darkness saga with its upcoming Final Shape expansion. However, the recent events have painted a bleak picture regarding the game's future. With the news of layoffs, unofficial reports also surfaced claiming that Bungie has delayed Destiny 2's The Final Shape expansion by almost 4 months, and has also pushed the release of its upcoming game, Marathon, to 2025. Now, Bungie has released a statement addressing the current situation at the studio and its plans for the time to come. Instead of a standard This Week in Destiny post that usually contains changes and updates regarding Destiny 2, Bungie released a statement addressing the layoffs. To start off, Bungie said that this week was one of the most difficult weeks in our studio's history, as we've parted ways with people we respect and admire. The developer then went on to acknowledge how Lightfall and the subsequent seasons didn't meet players' expectations and promised that the situation is going to change. Furthermore, to reassure the fans that Destiny 2 is in capable hands despite the layoffs, it also revealed that around 650 developers are working on the game. Reports also suggested that Bungie's revenue dropped 45% below expectations. The path forward is clear: we need to make The Final Shape an unforgettable Destiny experience. We want to build something that will be regarded alongside the best games we've ever made, a fitting culmination that honors the journey we've been on together for the past 10 years, said Bungie. In addition to this, Bungie also assured the fans that it will provide updates regarding Destiny 2's short-term future in the coming weeks, starting with an update on the upcoming Destiny 2 Season 23. Interestingly, there was no mention of the Final Shape DLC being delayed despite reports suggesting otherwise. Other PlayStation studios like Naughty Dog and Visual Arts also recently found themselves in a dire situation like Bungie, which led fans to believe that Sony had a larger strategic problem. However, a report claimed that the layoffs came directly from Bungie and Sony wasn't involved in that decision, which had fans questioning the developer's intentions. Amazon Studios' Fallout TV series will premiere on April 12, 2024. The release date was revealed on social media by the show's official account, featuring Pip-Boy graphics from the franchise. A teaser was shown earlier this year at Gamescom following a Starfield presentation. Shortly after, Prime Video revealed on X that the series will take place in Los Angeles, focusing on Vault 33. The Fallout series was initially announced in 2020. The cast includes Walton Goggins, Kyle MacLachlan, Ella Purnell, Michael Emerson, Leslie Uggams, Zach Cherry, and more. The project is being co-produced by Westworld co-creators Lisa Joy and Jonathan Nolan alongside Athena Wickham with Kilter Films, Bethesda's Todd Howard, and James Altman. And that's all for the video, guys. Like and share the video for a greater audience. Comment your thoughts on the topics, and donations are always appreciated. Subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon, and until then, from SMPV, it's goodbye.